Hi, I'm Luann DeCourcy, Executive Director of the SAVA Center, the Sexual Assault Victim Advocate Center. Each year in Larimer County, we have about 660 sexual assaults. That number is way, way too high. And the SAVA Center tries to do everything we can to keep that number down and to help those victims of sexual assault. The SAVA Center provides a wide array of services. We provide everything from crisis intervention through our 24-hour rape crisis hotline, to helping someone go through the court process, helping someone report with the police, providing long-term ongoing therapy, both individual and group therapy. We also want to see sexual assault end in Larimer County, so we also provide a wide array of sexual assault, gender violence prevention programs to the schools. We provide our play. We have about 60 dedicated volunteers who answered over 612 different hotline phone calls this last year. And SAVA Center provided well over 11,000 different services to victims of sexual assault. SAVA Center is very, very needed in our community, and I really hope you'll continue to support the SAVA Center as we grow and try to serve more victims of sexual assault.
SAVA is a critical resource for our community. Fort Collins basically is a safe city, but we still have instances of sexual assault, and we need to support the resources that help victims of sexual assault, and also support the resources that can help prevent sexual assault. SAVA provides to our community help to those who need help the most. By providing 24-hour crisis intervention service, SAVA often helps people keep their jobs. SAVA also helps provide medical and mental health care, and SAVA victim advocates guide the victims through the legal system and beyond, and actually helps reduce costs to our police department. Without SAVA in our community, victims of sexual assault would have very few options. Victims would not have an advocate to help them, whether it's reporting to the hospital, reporting to the police, and without the SAVA school programs, kids would not be learning the valuable life skills that would lead to a better, safer community in the future. SAVA is a necessary, critical resource for Fort Collins. We need to continue to support SAVA's efforts to ensure that Fort Collins remains one of the best places to live in America.
What SAVA has done for the police department in this community is it's created the ability for victims to have the courage to come forward and report their cases in order so that the offenders who are committing these crimes can see their version of justice, just as the victim should see their version of justice as well. I found that without SAVA sometimes, and oftentimes, it's difficult, if not impossible, for a victim to come forward on their own without their help. SAVA and the police department work together on a continual basis. SAVA introduces victims to the idea of reporting the crime, as well as providing necessary and well-needed counseling and therapy services, which enables them to come and report their cases and their crimes to us. In the instance that a victim wants to report, SAVA is there to guide the victim through that process and help them get them through that process and give them the courage to continue that. The benefit of SAVA in the community is it provides a resource to victims who have experienced sexual assault. It gives them the courage and the ability to go ahead and report their case, maybe not to the police, but to somebody who's going to listen and care about what they're having to say and give them guidance through a really difficult time in their lives, if not sometimes the most difficult time in their lives. I like referring victims to SAVA because I know that when they go there, they're going to be receiving long-term and ongoing care. They're going to be there talking to people who understand what they're going through and people that will help them get through the rest of their lives as best as possible and try to seek some inner peace in themselves and potentially, in a case, if it's able to go forward for prosecution.
I think the benefit of having SAVA in the community is that primarily it helps to create a safer community. Furthermore, it's the only agency that deals with sexual assault in Larimer County, and I think probably the biggest benefit to having SAVA in the community is having folks who will advocate for victims of sexual assault and rape, and will help them through the process of prosecution or reporting their crime, and also with any sort of follow-up counseling that's necessary. So I think that's a huge benefit to our community. Without SAVA, we wouldn't have the benefit of having the services that are provided with the advocacy and the education. Education's a huge piece. SAVA goes into the schools and educates young men and women about how to avoid sexual assault and what the warning signs are. I think that's hugely valuable to the community. For me, SAVA provides obviously a benefit to the community that can't be found anywhere else. And so I chose to volunteer for SAVA because it was a way to give back to an organization that I think has tremendous value. We actually, in the city of Fort Collins, don't provide that particular service, so we rely on SAVA to educate, to advocate, to support the victims of sexual assault. So to me, that was a small way for me to support your mission. So, and I appreciated the opportunity to do so.
Well, the benefit of having SAVA in the community is, as the only agency that really serves victims of sexual assault, they provide a 24-hour hotline, they provide immediate service, they really help victims work through the issues. I mean, just a remarkable organization, provides a great deal of visible and indirect service. The value of having SAVA service in Fort Collins is that we need it. Unfortunately, I would like nothing better than the executive director to call me and say, Gordon, we no longer are going to need to operate SAVA because we no longer have victims of sexual assault. But as long as we do, we need a professional organization with trained staff and trained volunteers that are able really to help the victims through a very traumatic period in their lives. Without services like SAVA, the community would be a much poorer place. Victims would really have no place to turn. I mean, certainly law enforcement and others are out there to deal with the crime, but there's really no one to really help the victims through what I consider to be just a very, very difficult, traumatic, awful time in their life. And we would be poorer for it. The United Way supports SAVA because we really want to help people that are in crisis, to help stabilize them, and certainly victims of sexual assault meet that definition of being in crisis. Last year, some 500 people were helped by SAVA that really stabilized them in this awful time. And we think it's incredibly important that we have a service like SAVA, and we're very pleased, proud really, to be a funder and a supporter of SAVA. I get the chance to work with a lot of organizations in our community, and I can tell you there's some really great ones, none greater than SAVA.